Season 2 is almost entirely based on Heartstopper Volume 3, which covers Chapter 4, Out. Only the dinner scene in Episode 7 is from Volume 4, Chapter 5, Love.
I came out to my mum last night.
Episode is called Out for obvious reasons. There's been a lot of confusion and even annoyance from audiences about how everyone in Heartstopper uses Instagram for texting. As established in my deep dive series for season 1, they landed on Instagram for the logistical reasons that it was a popular app and easier to read when they tried to film different apps on phone screens. According to this article, we polled Gen Z to see if they actually communicate like the kids in Heartstopper by Emma Keats for the AV Club. Many Gen Z kids use apps like Instagram and Discord exclusively for texting, and some don't even have their friends' numbers saved on their phones. I used to talk to my friends exclusively on Facebook Messenger for years when I was younger before switching to WhatsApp, so it doesn't feel that impossible to me. Maybe you just keep your conversation where you first started and it becomes a habit. I don't know. We do see in episode 8 that Nick at least has Tara's phone number because he calls her.
It was like being back at school after a break. It was really nice to sort of revisit them and take them further and explore new things with the characters, which
Yeah, I think it was really strange at first because it was like we were back at at the school where we were filming season 1, and it was kind of it was very much that kind of vibe, going back to school.
Literally.
But it was also because we before that we'd been spending all our time doing press for season 1, and our sort of whole world was season 1, and that's kind of how we saw Heartstopper. And then suddenly there was this, a whole season of new storylines and new scenes and new episodes.
And there was also a slight added element of pressure almost, because season 1 was so well received. We wanted to make sure that season 2 is also going to be well received. But we'll see. Hi. Ben? Nick. Where are we going?
The episode is called Out, and the first thing they do is go into a closet.
I came out to my mum last night.
And also had the most wicked growth spurt and the hardest gym pump of my life. No big deal.
When did you get into the gym, and what made you get into the gym?
I mean, it was actually, the reason I got into the gym was kind of deep, to be honest. When I got cast in Heartstopper, it's based on a comic book.
Yeah.
And the character that I'm based on is 6'2", very big. So I was like,
I got to fill that role.
And I was shorter than I am now, and skinnier.
Yeah.
So I suddenly was and there was some, when it got announced, there were some people on the internet going he's a bit too skinny to play him. I saw that and was like, shit. So then I just started eating loads, and then I was like, if I'm eating this much, I might as well
train.
So I started just doing push-ups. I was doing 200 push-ups a day, and then the only thing that was developing was my chest.
Just getting a 6 set of pecs.
So there's bits, if you look at Heartstopper, there's a couple points where I'm wearing quite a tight shirt and my
chest. He's getting some booby action.
Yeah, the boobies were looking quite large, so I was thinking yes. But then I started properly hitting gym. It's good for your mental health, I think.
A lot of times, there's always that meme about Hollywood, right? Where the high schoolers are 35 in real life. But you were like more or less the age of the character that you were playing?
I was playing a year 11 and I was in year 12. That's the thing. Obviously for us, we're looking at the other actors who are playing teenagers and we're like, no, I don't look like that.
Yeah.
But then that was kind of the point.
But yeah, no, that's true.
Like, we're supposed to look like teenagers.
Yeah, it's an unrealistic standard, I guess, but it's one that's there.
Want a well done kiss?
Yeah.
I originally planned to do a smooch counter as a segment for each episode, but it was a nightmare to edit and cram in, so I made it its own separate video instead.
I'll tell you what, one word, or maybe 2 words. More kissing. Immediately.
Yeah.
Episode 1, episode 1, the door opens, smooching.
Yeah.
That's going to be a shock to the system. After watching season 1, there's just sort of angsty like that. Suddenly we're smooching. I think we're used to the kissing scenes now. We were used to them by the end of season 1, but they are definitely awkward. They're always going to be awkward. Yeah. You know, you just sort of have to, especially when there's a big fat camera right here.
Yeah, it doesn't make it a little bit weird.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit weird, but hey, that's the job.
I think so. I feel like it wasn't hard in season 1. I think we are much closer now than we were then, the very first step. But like, I think spending more and more time with someone just makes everything a lot easier. And it's a very, very easy person to work with because he's just, what? As you can see, he's very lovely and very like, I find him easy to act with.
Season 1 was a really lovely experience working with Joe, but again, there was that sort of awkward kind of nervousness that we had to play that was kind of easy because again, like we had just met, so even though we did hit it off quite quickly, like you know, it's always a little bit awkward, especially when you have to sort of snog in front of a room with 20 people. But I think also when you go through the experience of, you know, press and your show coming out and suddenly having this like sort of massive change in your life together, you do bond a lot. So we are a lot closer now than we were when we made the show. So hopefully that will translate in season 2 and 3, and you know, as their relationship progresses, it's also progress. So yeah.
Oh, just let me win, Charlie! Yes! Can't do this anymore! I'm sorry.
That was uncalled for.
Quote from director Eros Lin.
I'm sorry, I kept saying his name wrong before, but now I know how to say his name.
There's a scene where they're playing Mario Kart and Charlie's losing, so he ruffles Nick's hair. We improvise lots of these things with the actors, and when we decided to do that, I whispered it to Joe, and we didn't tell Kit it was going to happen. So that reaction that you see on screen is completely genuine. Kit's going, "What the hell? You're doing this to me when I'm on television?" That sense of fun was really important and really key for that sequence.
We're in my room. Oh no, this is war.
Quote from director Eros Lin.
Kit and Joe are so ready to play with one another on screen, and there's a real sense of mischief. Joe ruffles Kit's hair. They push each other off a beanbag. They're playing Mario Kart. There's lots of opportunities for the two of them to be playful with one another because Nick and Charlie are really brilliant friends as well as lovers, and I think we wanted their evolving intimate contact to come through.
Quote from director Eros Lin.
We wanted to get a snapshot of what it's like when you first fall in love with somebody. You can't keep your hands off them and you can't stop kissing them because kissing is such a rewarding and exciting thing to do. We really wanted to capture that about Nick and Charlie and that physical attraction that they have. We also wanted to speak of their relationship as really great friends, which underpins their romantic relationship. A sense of playfulness and mischief was something that we were after.
Quote from Netflix, whatever Netflix revealed means.
The cinematographer hand-painted camera filters and used them on some of the Charlie and Nick kissing montage to add more texture, color, and vibrancy to the scenes, and visually add to the joy of being in love.
I thought as Europeans we were all united in our hatred for dirty shoes indoors. Especially knowing Charlie's mom is characterized in Solitaire in this winter as being very particular about how important it is to dress well and neatly. I wouldn't imagine she'd be chill with people wearing shoes in her house. Director Eros Lin on intimacy coordinator David Thackeray's process.
He's gentle and he's incredibly calm and he's very methodical. He approaches each kiss by breaking it down and by asking questions about the drama. What sort of kiss is it? Is it a tender kiss? Is it a playful kiss? Is it a passionate kiss? Where does this come in the arc of the relationship? And once he's done that analysis with myself and the actors, he then works in a very technical way with the actors. It's all about, you put your hand there, you put your hand there. And then you come in for the kiss lasts for 5 seconds, and then as you end the kiss, you breathe in. It's almost like a piece of choreography or a piece of dance. And one of the great consequences of that is that it drains the kiss of any actual emotion. It's actors acting. And the minute I shout cut, the actors are back to themselves, and that's exactly as it should be.
Quote from intimacy coordinator David Thackeray.
I don't think we did any reshoots. I think we maybe split the kisses up on a few days, but it would be very much like we need to find a different quality for this or a different way of showing these moments, because otherwise you as an audience member would be like, this is boring. This is just another kiss. What is this? So it would be very much like, okay, they're doing some homework together. And then suddenly, who makes that first move? Is it a playful moment of kissing? You have a moment on the bed. Is this more heated? Is it more open-mouthed? Is it a longer kiss? Is it a playful fight kind of thing? Is it a kiss on the head? It is always trying to find different ways of telling that story. It is basically showing a whole relationship in 2 minutes. It's a lot.
Everyone used to think, especially like here, used to think that, you're just here to be an insurance policy or you're there to police the situation. But the intimacy coordinator, it offers a process that allows open communication and transparency for the whole production, not just for the cast. It starts off with listening to the director and the writer, the producer's vision for these moments, how they want to shoot those moments, what kind of nudity, kind of positions, why do these scenes exist, what's the story behind these moments. And then I would talk to the actors and I would hear what their concerns and their thoughts are, or any kind of feedback they have for me of like what they need me to put in place for them to feel comfortable to be able to perform these moments. And then we have rehearsals as well. So it's very much like after we've gone through the consent and boundaries, you choreograph these moments. It's beat by beat.
You're making me feel really single right now.
I have a boyfriend!
Yes, we're all fully aware.
Alice and the team all come up with a list, and this season I've been really grateful to have some input in that as well. So I was making suggestions, and yeah, it's really nice. I think I haven't read them all for sure, because some of them are huge.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice insight into the character. I think immediately people can look at him and understand something about him based on what he's reading. It always ties into either what's going on in the episode or something about Isaac.
Isaac's first book of the season is I Love This Part by Tilly Walden. This is a sapphic YA romance graphic novel. Now, while I did read this book and some others that are featured in the show, I don't have time to get into detail about them in this series. However, if you're interested in Isaac's reading list, I strongly recommend this video, reading every book Isaac reads in Heartstopper Season 2 by Fictional Fates. Yes, I put it in the sources playlist for you. Let me know if you're interested in hearing my opinions on the 10 Isaac books I've read so far. I don't want to read all of them, but I could make a little video about the ones I have read, if anyone cares. I doubt you do, but hey, it could be a video.
I thought he wasn't speaking to the rugby lads after the fight with Harry.
The shop is at 42 Vicarage Road, Maidenhead, and looks a bit different in reality.
Well, as long as you're both fine with it, and you're looking out for each other, I'm sure it will be fine.
Talsu, are you giving Charlie relationship advice?
Ah! Red!
Right.
I think I just kind of went for a Scottish accent on that line. I know lots about relationships. I watch a lot of romance movies, so...
Meanwhile, Will Gall.
Describe your dream meet cute.
My dream what?
Meet cute? Do you know what a meet cute is?
No.
I find it interesting that movies with romance that Tao is seen referencing or canonically likes are Romeo and Juliet, Titanic, In the Mood for Love, Donnie Darko, 500 Days of Summer, and Moonlight. All of these movies are doomed, tragic love stories. It makes so much sense that Tao would find comfort in movies that prove his bias towards themes of losing people we care about. In a strange way, watching movies like this may feel good to him because it makes him feel validated in his fears. Tao also lists Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind as one of his favorites on Letterboxd, as shown in the 2023 Heartstopper Q&A on Tapas. You guessed it, another doomed romance. Later in episode 3 we also see Tao criticizing Elle's favorite movie for being too romantically optimistic, which highlights their different attitudes towards love in that moment.
Yeah, there's just so many things that happen with Elle this season that you're not ready for. I would say Elle is different in the sense that she's more confident. She surrounds herself with people that elevate her.
Okay, so what is with this magical brand of apple juice being so popular? There's a different apple juice right below it. Nothing else is running out.
You have it.
No, you won. Friends back.
Take it.
No. Tao!
We're still friends, aren't we? I promise I don't fancy you anymore.
We might expect Imogen to start taking care of herself a bit more and put herself above boys.
Yeah, I still want to be friends.
Okay, good. Also fancy someone else now.
Really? Who?
If anything actually happens, I promise I'll tell you. And if you have any romantic developments, I want to hear all about them.
So we all know Imogen knows because of this. And she's clearly fishing / signaling for Nick to tell her about it.
Oh my god, I forgot to show you this one.
And she reads him correctly that he isn't ready to suddenly talk about it, so she diverts the subject on purpose.
Happy Monday, true grammar.
Action. Hi, I'm Joe Locke.
And I'm Kit Connor.
And we're going to take you on a tour.
Isn't it nice to be filming in such a lovely, glamorous place?
It's such a lovely, glamorous place.
I mean, speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil.
Look at this place.
Are the Lockers even in this season?
No, I don't think so.
No, they're
But
not.
the fact
They're
is they're still here,
and
and
still
it's
put so much detail in it.
We had a scene
This is
in
the scene
episode 1 where
the books fell.
The fans freaked out when Alice posted this Instagram story about having to paint the lockers grey once they were done filming season 3 at the school. People thought this meant Heartstopper was done forever and there would be no season 4. However, they have always done this between seasons. Alice quickly posted this story to calm the hysterical masses. This was December 13th, 2023.
They were obviously blue in the show, so like, they're great. So, you know, magic, eh? Oh, Charlie Spring.
Or perhaps not so happy for our year 11s.
This is the wave corridor, which you
Wave
see.
corridor. It's actually changed since season 1.
It has. It's been
added to. There's a bit more colour, a
Some
bit
yellow
more
in it.
detail. I think the boats are new. I think the stars are
are
new.
new.
But when we first got to this school, it was just very barren, very boring, very dull.
Quotes from production designer Carrie Speard.
It's been really fun revisiting spaces this season and adding subtle, elemental changes to them that hopefully fans will see and really like. Because season 2 was set in the summer, we tried to add the heat and sun where we can, and sparkle. There's a little boat in there too.
What is this weirdly ominous still of this scene that Netflix sometimes uses as a thumbnail for the show and we've never seen in HD?
think faithful to certain parts of it. It definitely has to refer to the original artwork. And I think things like the school uniforms, so trying to work out how you would physically create that from something that's in a drawing. Obviously, there's quite easy, well, not easy, but easier to draw a school uniform than it is necessarily. You then have to find it and find something that, you know, with your budget, you can recreate for, you know, up to 200 background as well as the main cast. I think reading Heartstopper and looking at Alice's drawings, that school uniform really cemented UK school, you know, and I think to do that from that point of view was quite different, because I don't know that that's been done before. Like, a lot of shows sometimes seem to pander to like an American style when it comes to school stuff. Yeah, I think so, to just bring something that kind of looked, I don't know, kind of reminded me of my experience at school and teenagers coming out, and then that expression of style then in your personal clothing, I guess, then when you have those kind of like strengths of character and moments.
While Season 2 is still directed and produced by the same people, Season 2 has a new director of photography, DOP, Simona Shushna. Simona talked to director Eiros Lin and Season 1 cinematographer Diana Oliferova about what style elements they would keep and what they would change for the new season. Both Heartstopper DOPs, Diana Oliferova and Simona Shushna, have known each other for years, as they are both part of the Illuminatrix Cinematographer Collective. This interview with both of them is from 2019, so before Heartstopper. Quotes from DOP Simona Shushna.
It's not really a continuation of Season 1 in that it should look the same. They wanted a whole different feeling. Each season of the show also happens in different seasons. So they had winter and spring in Season 1, and we only had summer in Season 2. Obviously, the relationship between Charlie and Nick was also changing, and there were some mental health issues there that were talked about. So it was a whole different story that I could actually pitch ideas for. There were things we kept from Season 1 where I felt like the visual language was really suitable, and where I took it one step further and brought more developing shots into the language, more dolly shots, and some static moments. We kept that kind of graphic novel language of using top shots or more angular shots, and I went for a little bit more symmetry. I chose different lenses. There was a lot that translated and a lot that came through Season 1, but it was transformed for the Season 2 story.
I guess it's just life restoring balance that Nick gets both incredibly lucky and incredibly unlucky with assigned seating. Quote from composer Agnieszka Chase.
One of my other favorite themes is Ben's theme called X on the soundtrack. It's very gritty with slapping sounds, almost like him as a person, the way he looks and how his attitude slaps you in the face. I love the punchiness to it in the music, and I've continued that theme throughout as well.
We still want it to be Heartstopper. It has to be quintessentially Heartstopper. But at the same time, it's a new chapter. It's a continuation of their story, and they're kids, they're growing up. You know, you go through different emotions. Just growing up in general, you know, things shift and change, and so the music had to reflect that. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the soundtrack that people will remember from the first season, but everything I did, it develops, it grows. I've added new, if it's the same materials, so the same melodies or harmonies, I've added new synth sounds and things like that. And there's also some new songs, new tracks, because There's new experiences they're going through.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mr. Farouk.
Yusuf Farouk, played in the show by Nima Talagani, was a teacher at Higgs in the comic, but is now a Truum science teacher in the Netflix version. Alice designed him as the grumpy teacher to Mr. Ajayi's sunshine teacher.
Hello, I am Bradley, and this is
Lil Name's Big Dreams.
And he plays
Mr. Farouk. My name is Mr. Farouk.
If you had to describe your character with 3 emojis, what would they be?
The eyebrow raise. The
Nice.
steam coming out the nose.
Nice.
And the love-struck eyes. Boom.
Hello, I'm Nima Talagani and I play Mr. Farouk in Heartstopper. The teacher who I based the character on had a massive impact on me. And he was ferocious. You know, I remember when I got my ear pierced when I was 16. I probably had like a really like jazzy like cubic zirconia earring, a big one. It was like, Nima. I was like, yeah, you look like an idiot. And then when we'd do badly in a test, he'd fume, like he'd switch, lost it, like his veins were going, he'd scream and shout, and I'm like, I've never experienced this type of love. You know, this is like tough, volatile love. So yeah, I tapped into a bit of that.
This screenshot was such a funny moment in the Heartstopper fandom. This was the first ever image from season 2 we ever saw, and it was all thanks to Netflix Brazil messing up. Netflix Brazil posted this picture as the 3rd slide in a meme post on Instagram April 21st, 2023, before any official stills had been released. The post was quickly deleted, but the fans had most certainly noticed. There were lots of jokes about interns getting fired that day. This picture was also released the next day. It's from the date announcement video that came out on April 24th, so 2 days after this pic. And I think this was the thumbnail for something else, so it was also not really supposed to be out, I think. The fans were so annoyed that all the pictures we got were of Ben.
My rules are simple. No chatting, no phones, no annoying questions. If I catch you with that phone again, I'll be confiscating it. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Alright, I think we're gonna get on just fine.
Maximilian. Here. Stuart.
Here, sir.
Addison.
Here, sir.
William.
Here, sir.
Nick and Charlie have no scenes together in form this season, but there's this promo image you can only see on this Netflix thumbnail and this Hot Topic merch that we never got in HD. Also, this line of Hot Topic merch was the first place we saw any images of season 2 other than the Netflix Brazil oopsie leak. Alice was frustrated. Update. Samuel Daw has now posted the full picture, still not in HD though, with the following caption.
Nicholas. Todd.
Yes, sir.
Leah.
Here.
It's not explained in the show, but there are some girls attending Truum for 6th form. 6th form is the 2 years after year 11. Nick says to Sahar in volume 4 that there are about 10 girls for every 200 boys in years 12 and 13 at Truum.
Warren.
Yes, sir.
Charlie.
I noticed Mr. Lang calls the other boys by their full names. William, Maximilian, Nicholas, but doesn't call Charlie Charles. In fact, we never see anyone call him Charles in the whole show. Charlie and Tori call each other Charles and Victoria in the books. Solitaire, This Winter, Nick and Charlie, and sometimes Heartstopper as well. But that's been changed for pretty obvious reasons, i.e. everyone would think Tori is just called Victoria because nobody other than Charlie addresses her by name on the show. Also, how many students are there in this form group? These are mostly different names from last season. In the comic it says each vertical form group has 5 to 6 students from every year group. That would mean a minimum of 35 and maximum of 42 students. And still nobody else sits in Nick and Charlie's table ever.
You're just gonna ignore me for 2 weeks then? I didn't even do anything to you.
Don't talk to me.
I said sorry to Charlie for what happened. Look, I'm sorry about what happened, okay? Have you finished sulking about it?
Yeah, you sure said the word sorry, but you didn't apologize.
Don't talk about him.
You know, If you're trying to keep it quiet, you should probably stop acting so gay for him.
I wonder if he heard what he said, because that would definitely have made him more angry.
I seem to remember saying something about no chatting.
But if you want to discourage chatting, why not seat them like this for study hall as well?
Come in! Charlie! How's it going?
I want to rejoin the rugby team.
Chetna Pandya, who plays Miss Singh, posted this moving video on her Instagram @ChetnaPandyaOfficial on September 11, 2023, about her struggles as a single mother while filming season 2 of Heartstopper. It doesn't have anything relevant to any episodes in it, but I wanted to share the link in the description so you can watch if you want. She says the cast and crew were all offered free therapy and the producers were accommodating and caring, which I thought was so special to hear.
So thank you to the second AD, and thank you to the first AD, and thank you to the producers of the Heartstoppers. And the production company itself, Seesaw Films. Absolutely brilliant. And let me tell you another thing that Netflix did, which I think is a really interesting structure that they built in, which was to offer all the cast and crew free therapy. They used an organisation called Solace Mind, and I think what that does is it really validates the essence with which that programme is made.
You know you don't have to do this if you don't want to.
I want to. Otherwise we'll barely see each other this time.
Oi, you come back to rugby? Yeah. Yes, lad. Come on then.
I find it slightly interesting and sweet that it's specifically Otis coming up to Charlie, because in the comic Charlie says this: Sai and Christian from rugby are nice, and Otis sometimes, but yeah, I don't think any of the others like me. And Otis seems like he's more aggressive about how serious he is about the game, so that kind of tracks.
Come on, man! For the third time! Come on, you can't even tackle them. You've got no chance. Come on, man! Pass the ball, man! Pass the ball! We set up. Leave it, Otis.
You right, Nick?
Quote from Araloin Oshunremi on switching between his roles as Heartstopper's Otis and Stefan from Top Boy.
It wasn't really difficult because in Heartstopper, I don't really have heavy scenes, and there's not a lot of dialogue that I have, and the character of Otis is quite bubbly and cheerful. Everyone on set is quite happy. He's very happy, actually. He's always bubbly and has a good energy. I think when I go onto set, it was all about the energy being up and bubbly. So I'm not really bringing Steph's moodiness and anger onto set.
I want to see more of Sai, Christian and Otis. I don't know, I just love them. I want to see them hang out with Nick and Charlie.
What? Are you still in a mood with us?
So he was only suspended for about a week for fighting.
You've all been playing like girls lately.
Charlie, pass the ball! Let's go!
Apparently the sports field mural has been updated for season 2, turning the leaves into flowers. You can't see that at all though. It's always either super far away or blurry in the background. You can see a bit of the flowers in the season 3 wrap announcement post.
Elle, listen, you deserve to have the perfect romance. Like us.
I've got a wig on this season, because I cut my hair. I buzzed it right after the first season because I was like, okay, no, goodbye Darcy for now. But I had to wear a wig, so it looks amazing. The makeup team did an amazing job, but I am wearing a wig. And it was very itchy, and I was just sort of tapping my head like that.
Do you wear wigs?
No, I do not.
Have you worn wigs?
No, I have not.
Tao is literally the worst person to have a crush on. It's probably just Tao being weird.
But maybe being weird is how he expresses his romantic feelings. What if you tried actually flirting with him? Just to see what happens? Yeah, flirt with him. What's up?
Nothing. Everything's normal.
Normal. Okay.
My mum's been moaning at me to get a haircut.
My mum here being code for every single person who watched this show, except me. I am team let your freak flag fly.
Your hair's cute, Mom. But it would look cute short, too. You should do what you want.
Of course, William Gow's hair was no longer long when they filmed season 2, so they used a wig for the scenes before the haircut.
Will you wear wigs?
Maybe.
When will you wear wigs?
I got you a present.
What? Why?
Because we've been going out for 2 months.
As in, it's our 2-month anniversary.
Meanwhile, the 2023 Heartstopper Q&A on Tapas reveals that they can't even come to an agreement on which day actually counts as their official anniversary.
I think obviously there's a slight and heightened reality to the program, which really helps because you've got the animations, the way the music is, those Heartstopper moments. So that kind of lent it to a style that could be a little bit more experimental, maybe.
And how did you know this is my favourite chocolate bar?
We found this out in the Nick and Charlie novella that is set 2 years after this point.
I arrive at Boots and it turns out I have to wait an hour for them to develop the photos, so I wander around town with my umbrella over my head. I buy an Oreo dairy milk bar from a newsagent's because Nick's obsessed with them. Then I sit down on a bench and take out my phone, balancing my umbrella on my shoulder.
You mentioned it ages ago, so...
Thank you.
It's been pointed out, I think first by Radio Silence Zero on Twitter/X, that maybe Charlie being so attentive is extra special to Nick because his father can't even remember how old he is, let alone details like this about stuff he likes. Quote from director Eros Lin.
Every time the animation appears, it's doing something that the scene by itself wouldn't do. Working emotionally on an audience is one of the things that has made it work because it touches people.
And that's why we shouldn't kiss at school.
He said that so loud before we hear the door closing and it echoes in there.
Oh, but kissing's so fun.
But you getting outed because we get caught kissing is not.
You guys kind of seem like you want to get caught, not gonna lie.
I want to tell people. It's hard to find the right time.
You don't have to tell everyone, or anyone if you don't want to.
You're making me want to kiss you again.
I'm being serious.
So am I.
Quotes from DOP Simona Sushna about shooting handheld.
With Heartstopper, I felt like Season 1 existed as its own entity, so when I went for my interview with Eros, I really pitched it as though we were starting over almost, without forgetting about Season 1 in terms of the handheld language that worked really well. My style of handheld is very different. It's just more understated, more controlled, and I think that translated well. But it was just my own interpretation of the story. I felt like it needed to go deeper inside the characters. I felt like handheld really translated that love and intimacy, and I use it a lot when the story is right. It was important to be with them at all times, and to infuse that kind of emotion and those feelings into the actual shots, and translate those feelings of love to the audience. I didn't disregard Season 1, but I really wanted to feel like we were setting up the look of a new show. I changed a lot, I made my own lot. I brought in 2 different sets of lenses, and then the lighting was changed to a degree because it happens naturally in the summer. So my color temperatures and my filters were different.
No more kissing at school. It's too risky.
Who believed that for a second?
Are you staying to hang out with us?
I will be going upstairs.
Just FYI, the official Heartstopper Instagram used to be Heartstopper TV, it's now just at Heartstopper.
Hi. I make cupcakes.
I don't think it's
Wow,
straight.
well done. Very proud of you.
It's very
We have a snack table, we can put them on.
This is also the first and only time Nick's baking is referenced, but he says baking cupcakes is very unlike me, so Nick being a baker is still a bit iffy in the Netflix canon. Also, is that visible crew in the shot?
Yeah, if you were a worm, that's weird.
Apparently this was improvised by Kizzy and Karina. There's also an Alice illustration where Nick is the one to ask Charlie the infamous worm question.
There's a lot of improv. Most of the time, like, you won't hear it or see it, but it's there. And there's usually not a lot of prompting. It's just like, okay, talk like Darcy, talk like Tara. So we've gotten quite
Just give us a bit of them.
Yeah. Karina will always start an improv with Darcy, and that's just like the
Just gets
Tara
us in,
moment.
yeah. Or a little laugh, it'll be Darcy, or a
stop it.
Yeah. Hair's gone everywhere, but yeah, that's high energy, like getting in there.
Sort of shake it in. Do a couple like star jumps.
I feel like sometimes in the improv bit, oh gosh, that's the hard. That's when it's like, oh gosh, Eddie, how posh that was. Oh gosh. Yeah, in the improv bits, sometimes we like dig ourselves into an improv hole. Yeah. Because a lot of the time, director Eros just goes, give me Tara, yeah. See, give me some jokes, and that's quite hard to come up with on the spot. Yeah. So sometimes we end up talking about absolute nonsense. So please don't listen too hard.
The height. Okay, ready?
I swear.
Quotes from Kit Connor and Joe Locke on Nick and Charlie's nonverbal communication. Kit.
For me, a big part of acting is reacting and just that kind of internal journey that characters go through, whether it be through a scene or through an entire season of a show. I think there are loads of points in the show where you could just pause and see Joe or myself, and if you just look at it, you can see what we're thinking in that moment, because there are so many points where they don't say much.
Joe.
Yeah, and I think in the season 1 scripts, there were whole page-long scenes of no dialogue. It might be a 2-second moment in the show, but it was a whole crafted moment of feeling and thinking for these characters that Alice had written. And especially for Charlie as a character, the lines on the page, I just want to color the moment. But what really matters is you knowing the character and knowing what they're feeling and thinking about, so that if the lines are removed, the scene would still be the same. I think that definitely applies to Nick and Charlie. They don't say much. I mean, they do say much.
Kit.
But they communicate with their minds.
Joe.
Telepathically, yes.
I'm gonna move into your house just so I can get your mum to make me these every day.
Oh my god, me too.
Tara, you were the one who told her to flirt. Why are you third-wheeling?
Same. Well, me and him have one spare room, so...
So, when can you share your room?
Elle orchestrating her own one-bed trope moment. Nice.
Hey, my mum wouldn't let me.
Darcy's mum's the same. She hates having people over.
Yeah, but your mum lets her sleep over, so...
Isaac is reading Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Yemide. This is a YA mystery thriller with LGBT themes. Of course, Isaac reading a book with Ace in the title is foreshadowing for things to come. Here's Alice's review of the book on Goodreads. Pause if you want to read.
Maybe?
Alice said on her Tumblr, Chronic Introvert, that the sleepover scene was a nightmare to write because she was trying to set up a lot of storylines and also keep the first episode pacey and punchy. When you pay attention, this little scene before Imogen even comes in starts out everyone's arcs for the season.
Did someone deliver something? Did we invite someone else?
Why didn't they warn them that Imogen is also coming? Like, Tao and Isaac have never properly met her, and last time we saw her interact with the girls, it was left on pretty awkward footing.
So you and Nick are definitely not?
I'm a lesbian.
Okay. I'm not like homophobic. I'm an ally.
Congratulations.
We thank you for your service.
Come in.
Yeah, lots of potential for awkwardness when they did not have any time to prepare for her being here at all.
Does she, know about you guys?
Not yet. Gonna tell her today.
It'll be fine. She's an ally.
I think we all knew that this would be a meme, at least, because it's just so iconic. It's never been done before. She tries to be an ally, which I love.
Your friend group is so nice. How did you get to know everyone?
I guess it was Charlie first. Because me and Charlie, we're like, we're in the same form, and yeah.
Cute.
Ally.
Oh my god, I'm so ready for pizza.
This has now entered my lexicon of obnoxious ways to say pizza, along with this classic gem from Until Dawn.
Oh, sleepover. Can we order pizza?
And I'm justifying my irrelevant horror game reference with how Alice has drawn Heartstopper Until Dawn crossover fan art before, so there, it's totally relevant.
I'm a vegan and I don't touch meat. Like, it's kind of like I can't.
It's okay.
I don't know why it's so hard to just say it.
It's all bad.
No, it's not. None of your art is ever bad.
Well, my coursework needs to be amazing if I'm going to use it to get into art college.
You just need to get inspired. I could be your model. Hmm?
Draw me like one of your French girls.
Is this supposed to be inspiring?
Well, he was inspiring enough for you to draw him before. Quote from executive producer Patrick Walters on the soundtrack.
There's something raw and emotional in the music made by young artists independently. They wear their hearts on their sleeves, just like the characters in Heartstopper. Our music syncs work best when the emotion of the scene is underlined by the lyrics and swagger of the song and artist. We wanted the songs in the mixtape to feel like the characters' favorite songs. Bedroom pop is perfect for us because we spend a lot of time in the bedrooms of our characters, where they can most freely express themselves and feel safe.
Sometimes I get asked, did you write the songs? And I don't write the songs. They were all amazing artists in their own right. The music supervisors and the team, I know that Alice and Patrick have a lot of ideas about the music, and I think that the music supervisors do a fantastic job of curating a number of commercial tracks for the show. So that's nothing to do with me. I'm doing all the kind of original soundtracks specifically for the show.
I can't do a deep dive into every song on the soundtrack as it just gets overwhelming trying to cram that in these videos as well as everything else, but I'll comment on some that are particularly thematic to the episodes. Tommy Strands used to do a really great series of Heartstopper soundtrack deep dives, but apparently he stopped after episode 3. That's a shame. I was hoping he'd continue to just do that instead of me needing to get into it.
Do you think it's going to be weird for you if you're apart next year?
What do you mean? We're not dating.
Tao, you're allowed to miss her.
She's my best friend and it's none of your business.
Okay, so Nick came in with good intentions at a bad time. Tao is still on guard about Nick and will read him wrong. And he's super confused about Elle right now. Also, this sets up how Nick and Charlie will use Tao and Elle as an example of how to deal or not deal with being separated by uni later. Just on the show it happens a year earlier to Tao and Elle than how it is in the comics / Nick and Charlie.
The kitchen, not a poetry recital. I will, after you tell me what Bernays sauce is.
This audio is not from a real movie. Director Eros Lynn gave Alex the prompt rom-com set in a chef's kitchen, and they wrote the scene you can hear in the background. You can actually hear a little more of it in some of the dubs where they've mixed the TV audio weirdly loud for the Nick and Imogen scene.
Why did you ask me this before you started making it? I'm not supposed to be approachable. You've got a lot of people relying on you, looking up to you. I urge you to be a little... That's even very manipulative. Morning, Chef. How are you?
Ajme. Trebala sam šutjeti. Samo što... Oh!
I'm not joking this time. Yes, Chef. Stop smiling.
Imogen, I kind of had something that I want to tell you.
Maybe don't start big important discussions with people when they really need to pee.
Is it about you and Charlie? It is kind of obvious.
Yes. How doesn't everyone in both schools know already?
And like, it totally makes sense. Like the whole date thing and the sports day thing.
How is Imogen the only one who noticed and remembers the sports day thing?
You didn't like me because you're gay.
I actually knew Imogen would say or think that. I'm so annoyed that I didn't write it in my predictions, because then I could say I told you so, but now you just have to trust me that I guessed it. It's just such a classic, slightly clueless ally girl thing, and thinking Nick wouldn't have liked her because she's a girl would heal her broken ego a little bit.
Well, I'm bisexual, actually.
Oh. I'm so glad that that wasn't the case. I'm glad that there was a journey of acceptance, because we don't need to see the jealous third woman, or do you know what I mean? Like, we've seen that a million times before, and what's amazing about Heartstopper is that it's so new, so much of it. Like, I felt very determined that that wasn't going to be Imogen's journey, and that wasn't going to be how I played her. I felt like we'd seen so many almost two-dimensional female tropes of and Imogen could have easily fallen into that. Yeah. And I'm really glad that her journey wasn't that, and that's not how I played her, and I felt really passionate about that representation of a young girl like that. And I think it nicely sows the seed for season 2, that journey. I'm sorry, I don't actually know how to react.
Imogen is so uncertain of herself. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know where she fits in. She desperately wants to authentically be herself. And I think people do at that age. Like, being like a 16-year-old is really tough. If there's anyone at 16, it's tough, but it gets better. And it is really challenging time. And I think she is a character that really represents that. And I think her seeing Nick and his journey and him finding his authentic self and pushing aside any sort of status quo or shame attached to that sort of thing, I think is really inspirational for Imogen.
Okay, well, now you know about Charlie, you have to tell me about your crush.
Fine, okay. It's Ben.
There's a whole fan theory about how Imogen picks these unavailable to her queer boys to crush on because of compulsory heterosexuality, comphet. And she picks her crushes based on calculating the benefits such as familiarity, safety and popularity rather than her actual feelings. But whether that is the case remains to be seen when we see where her arc goes in season 3. That is very intimate, to sleep on a tiny couch like that with someone you just met that day. Especially when it's mixed with boys and girls all together, when these kids all go to same-sex schools, so they're probably not very used to it. If I was her, I wouldn't be able to sleep at all in this cramped space with all these people I don't know.
I'm so cozy right now. I'm gonna fall asleep so quick.
Quote from Corrina Brown.
I can't really remember a black person going to bed with an actual headscarf on their head. On a lot of TV shows, their hair's still out, and I'm like, that's not true.
Tara is also shown sleeping in a bonnet in chapter 7/volume 5 of the comics.
I think I need to try and get over him.
And that is why she acts weird later. She closes herself up from this point on.
Thank you for coming.
Every time.
Every time. Every time.
In my mind, by that every time, they mean Isaac always finishes his book right when it's time to go. He also finishes Les Mis right when they get to Paris later in episode 4.
I can't believe people think you're straight.
Quote from director Eros Lin.
When it came to season 2, the period of story time that we span is early summer, May, June, July, and into the middle of the summer. That speaks of this growing freedom because the kids aren't in school anymore and they go off on this journey to another city. The warmth and that sense of a never-ending summer that happens when you're on the school holidays is something that we wanted to bring into our cinematography. Simona Sushna, the DOP on season 2, very eloquently and artistically thought about how we could use the sunlight and the warmth of a glorious summer holiday to speak to that. Again, we brought that into all our other disciplines.
Quote from DOP Simona Sushna.
I wanted to bring an explosion of color to the show, which is an exciting prospect. That's something I'm very interested in, working with very bright colors and pushing saturation to the limits.
Charlie, I signed that form for the Paris trip. It's on the fridge.
Oh, thanks.
Are all your friends going too?
Yeah, it's a joint Trum and Higgs language students trip.
Well then, your Spanish GCSE will come in very useful.
Whoa! Julio Spring has finally been let inside the house to hang out with his wife. Got it? Because he was always in the car last season.
You know my friend Nick? He's my boyfriend. You're surprised.
He's a very sporty, sort of laddish sort of boy. I wouldn't have assumed he was gay.
Funny how in the print version of the comic she says the same thing, but in the webcomic she calls him a jock. Jock is more of an American term.
Being gay has nothing to do with that. And actually, he's bisexual.
Nick is banned from sleepovers from now on.
What?
The full Spring family in the same scene for the first time. Minus Oliver, forever in our hearts but never on our Netflix. Should we check on those people who believe Tori was a figment of Charlie's imagination or a ghost of his dead sister because she doesn't interact with anyone else? Yes, that was an actual fan theory. Extra ironic considering Charlie was originally a supporting character in her story.
Yeah, there will be no hanky-panky in this house.
And I suppose Nick's going on this Paris trip as well?
So Charlie knows Nick is a language student, but Charlie doesn't know Nick is fluent in French.
So that's why you've been talking about it non-stop for weeks.
It's a sad change from the comic that Charlie's parents on the show are so negative and don't pause to tell Charlie they're happy for him at all.
You are so negative!
In season 1, all the show-only viewers were praising Julio for being a great dad, and this season we're quickly shown that the Spring family is far from perfect.
Bedroom door open at all times.
I'm leaving.
No hanky-panky till you're married.
Stop saying hanky-panky. You're telling people then?
The slightly sus mystery picture on Charlie's wall has been chopped in half. Quote from set decorator Maxwell Fine.
Our sets underwent an on-screen transformation, paralleling the growth of characters. Season 1 laid the groundwork, allowing us to stretch and embrace the aesthetic in Season 2. Every choice, from fabric to cushions, from school bags to lamps, was made deliberately. We added personal touches, such as marking height notches in Charlie's bedroom door and hand-painting motifs on Elle's furniture. These sets aren't just any old stage. They're a testament to all of us, forming a part of queer history. The sets have a distinct queer energy, demanding meticulous attention to detail.
And you're not worried?
About what?
About getting bullied again?
I loved as well how strong her relationship is with her siblings. I've got an older sister who I adore, and I just could really relate to that as well. I really loved what she brought to the story as like a support for Charlie. So yeah.
It's not going to be like when I got outed. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure Nick doesn't have to deal with what I did. I can make sure that he never feels pressured, or stressed, or scared. Everything's going to be perfect.
Quote from Joe Locke.
That's a classic line of foreshadowing for the audience rather than anything else. Also, I don't think Charlie really believes that. He wants to be an optimist at heart, even though I'm not sure he necessarily is.
This time around, production used codename Electric when filming Season 2 to hide what they were actually making. Season 1's codename was Evergreen and Season 3's was Firework. And we're done with episode 1. It's great to be back. Thank you all so much for your support and patience. I did warn you I would wait about half a year to make sure I got as much stuff in as I could. Sadly, we didn't get nearly as much cast interview content as last time because the SAG-AFTRA strike was happening right when Season 2 came out and we completely missed the promo period. Also, Toby never released the vlogs even though we waited and clowned for a long time. But never fear, I got better at finding other things to use, so I have plenty to show you for Season 2. Also, as you all will have noticed, I have a collaborator this time. Thank you Merrick Wolfe for reading out pages and pages worth of quotes from interviews for me as my quote voiceover person. And for those of you stressing about whether it will take months to get episode 2, no need to worry. Last time around I released an episode a week and I'm aiming for that this time too. All episodes are about at the same level of completion and it should take about a week to clean up each edit. So see you soon for the next one. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.